Hey guys, today's topic is about self-love, especially if you're coming from a place of self-hate to begin with. So, this is something that I have struggled with plenty in my life, and it's a very painful thing. So, if you're out there um, and you struggle with self-hate, um, don't despair. Like, there are ways to learn to love you, and it's going to feel so good. And you will get to feel extra good because when we experience one thing and then experience the opposite, it's even more amazing, right? Like if you never struggled with turning on yourself, yeah, I'm sure it feels great to love yourself. But I don't know. I think those of us who have like hated ourselves at times and then learned to love ourselves, I don't know. I think it's even more powerful. So if that's a little inspiring thing to you at all, then use that. Um, yeah, as I understand it, self-hate develops in childhood as a coping mechanism. So it's crazy, right? That would be a coping mechanism. That's what I learned from Teal Swan. So it's basically this idea like if you turn on yourself first, then others can't hurt you. So I remember driving, um, it's just a random memory, and a car getting angry at me, like road rage, right? Like I don't know if I don't think I really did anything. Maybe I was driving too slow. I don't know. But like, you when you're driving and somebody gets mad at you, like they honk or they yell or whatever it is. And it was crazy because I don't think I said it out loud, might have, but in my head I was like, "That's okay, I hate me too." And I'm like, "What is happening?" Like that's crazy. But I think it's this idea of, like if you turn on yourself first, then it doesn't hurt as bad, right? If you get negative feedback or people hate on you, but you're already like, "Well, I hate me too." So it's like a similar idea to someone making fun of themselves first, and then it doesn't hurt as bad if others make fun of them for whatever the trait may be, right? But it's a terrible thing, a terrible coping mechanism because you go through your life hating yourself. You can't get anywhere. You just turn on yourself, and self-sabotage, decompensate, like it's terrible. Maybe addictive behaviors. So I would say that the thing that helped me to love myself and learn, I had to learn how to do it. I also think one of the reasons I didn't learn it in childhood was like my family loved me, but I couldn't feel it. So, like, if you happen to be a child and like maybe your family loves you, supposedly, or they probably really do, but you can't feel it. I don't know if you can relate to this. Like for me to feel loved, I need it in a certain way. Like for me, it's very important to feel heard, um, felt, seen, validated. Like I don't need people to agree with me, but it makes me feel very loved if I express my true self and that is reflected and heard and understood and listened to. So that was the piece that I was missing in childhood. Um, but yeah, I would say that the biggest thing I found to help me learn to love me was the Isha Judd system. I got started with that maybe 5 years ago. I think I actually started with a completion process practitioner. That's something that Teal Swan does and trains people in. And that was actually less effective for me working with her. However, she started me out. and led me to the Isha system, which was super effective for me. So it's cool how one thing can lead to another. Like, just try stuff because you don't know what will lead to the thing that really you need at any given moment. Um, yeah, so the Isha Judd system included a lot of meditation. They call it unifying. Excuse me. So it's like sitting in silence with yourself, meditating, but you're also saying facets, which are statements, like love creates me and my perfection. There's a bunch of different ones. So that was effective, but honestly, I think the thing that touched me the most was the meetings they have where you can express in the meetings. You can also call and or like post in their chat and express with someone. And most of this is, I mean, it's like all free once you and by the way, I'm not like, I'm just sharing my truth. Like it was helpful to me. Like I don't get a commission or anything. But if you struggle with self-hate, something you might want to check out is the Isha Judd system. Super affordable because I think I paid like $100 for the initial 4-hour seminar to learn the system. Like, and then everything was free unless you want to go to like a high, a more intensive level, which you don't necessarily need to. Anyway, I think more than the unifying meditation, although that's extremely valuable for me, was sitting in those meetings expressing where I got what I needed, right? So, like that reflection, um, basically, like it was really hard for me in the beginning to say my truth. Like, I didn't even know, right? Like, but it's all about how do you feel? And you could say what you feel in your body, you could say if you feel sad, angry, joyful, I mean, afraid. And basically, for me, it was a lot of sadness, also a lot of anger. And so if it was anger, they'd have me like punch a pillow and then I'd end up crying. And it was scary at first, but once I got used to it, it was so healing to let that stuff out and have the facilitators there of the Isha Judd system who basically they guide you, but like you're so welcome to like feel your feelings and have presence for that and love for that. Something about that was just like really a turning point for me to be able to cry there, punch a pillow, whatever it is, a lot of tears, right? And connect with that sadness. I learned that sadness, and crying is great. It means you're connected in your heart. Um, and what would happen in that process after sort of moving these emotions is I would suddenly be able to love me, and it was amazing. So I want this for others. I don't know if it's the right thing for you, but it's one thing to check out. Have to mention that because I would definitely say that was the thing that taught me to love me. Um, I can still struggle with it for sure, like get triggered or get full of self-doubt, go into self-hate. And it's such a beautiful process to come back to self-love. Like, be nice to you. Maybe treat you like you would treat your own child. For those of you who do struggle with self-hate, you know how strong it is and how difficult, like that, you might be like, easy to say, be nice to me. Like, it's impossible. Like, I get it. I really do. Um, yeah. So I just kind of want to put out there love for those of you who struggle with self-hate. And yeah, give you some ideas that could help, like the Isha Judd system. Also breath work. So I am a Soma breath instructor and I only found Soma breath like in late April 2023. So we're in January 24 right now, and that's not that long, right? Um, but these breathwork sessions, so it's like rhythmic breathing to music and breath holding and guided meditation. It really works for me. And because that self-hate is so grippy, right? Like it's really hard once you're there to move out of it sometimes. And the thing I love about Soma breath is that it gets me out of that. somehow. Like all I have to do is start it and it moves me out of that, you know? It basically lets me have other thoughts come in, higher consciousness, my higher self, higher power, whatever, like I start getting new thoughts, thank God. Um, yeah, like I was doing my practice this morning and a thought I had was an expansion is coming. And that was beautiful to me because I realized I'm in a contraction. So those are terms that the Isha people use, like you're contracted or you're expanded. And it's really normal to like, be contracted and then expand and then contract and then expand. And I love that, and contraction would involve that self-hate, right? Like definitely that's not going to be part of your expansion, right? I love the fact that there is value in those contractions. That's something that I'm trying to do is really, I want to learn to be present with myself. I want to value, like Kyle Cease, I love him too, says like the now, this moment, the present is more important than, now I'm forgetting, but it's like, it's not about whether you're feeling great or feeling terrible. It's just being in the now. Like what is here now, and valuing the now. And if you're contracted, it's fine, even if you're self-hating, like that is what is here now. So that is my goal, is to be present with that. Yes, to like engage in practices to move beyond it, but not with this attitude of like getting rid of self-hate or I have to get past this or it has to be, no, this is here for a reason. Let me connect. Like I had self-hate come up recently, and I was, that's why I'm talking about it today. And in connecting with it this morning, I also tried journaling. That's another thing you can do to see your thoughts. I just sort of stream of consciousness, write what I'm thinking, and of course, they're really negative. It's great to see it in black and white. And then even more powerful is to go back and talk back to what you wrote. So if you wrote one thing, pretend you're like your higher self or you're a good friend or whatever. And like, what would you say to someone who was saying that thing? And that's what got the tears started. So it was super valuable for me that that self-hate came up, that I did that writing, because what it did was I cried a lot this morning in my practice. And then in doing my soma breath work, I end up feeling good. So I made that transition from self-hate to self-love, but kind of had to have faith because it wasn't like, oh, I just choose to be nice to myself. It's not that easy, right? And those of you who have self-hate understand that. Um, but yeah, try some of these tools, the Isha Judge system, if you're interested, writing out your thoughts and then talking back to them, or I actually write back to them sometimes. Soma breath work, you know. Um, yeah, so give yourself grace. And and I would love to hear what your experience is of self-hate, self-love, where you're at in your journey. And until next time, have a wonderful, beautiful day. Love you all.